Guys, unfortunately, about 90%, yes, 90% of crypto investors are going to miss what I'm going to show you today. Now, I actually saw this firsthand. In the previous cycle, you think you know what you're doing, you think that you've got experience in finance or whatever it might be, real estate, and then you come into the bull market and you just flop. And this is something that a lot of you are going to disregard. But I'm telling you right now, it's going to be sad to see in the next bull market when things really might be different. The world might be a different place, that you won't have a second chance to capitalize like we can right now, especially over the next few months. And so this video is that prompt for you, is to give you the clear strategy. I've got proof that it actually works. And again, 90%, most, super majority of people actually don't end up doing this and they will fail. Take it from me. Let me now take your attention to the screen. I'm going to dive through this today. Now, believe it or not, I've actually recorded this video previously and it turned out to be half an hour long. So you're going to have to excuse me if we kind of gloss over some things. But what I've decided to do, I initially didn't want to do this, but because that was so long, while I gloss over it, I actually want to make this free for you guys to go ahead and use, like I typically do anyway, but I wasn't going to. But I think it's definitely important that you actually absorb this all. And for me to go into as much detail as I would like, I mean, even that video, I was rushing through it, right? So I definitely think that this is something you really think about. But again, like, this is probably one of the most paramount things you should be doing right now, because the next 2 months, in my opinion, are going to be super, super important. If you watched my video yesterday, I explained to you why the next 2 months might actually be our last time we can kind of buy at these super cheap prices over the next, 2 to 3 years while the bull market starts to ensue, okay? So again, if you want to make the most amount of returns in the next few years, you need to listen up, because this, again, is our last chance to create and execute on a clear strategy before the 2025 bull run. Trust me, you don't want to be the person who failed. I had that same situation where the last bear market, I was telling friends, family, people that came into work, I thought it a bit of a challenge. If I put it out there and challenge people that I'm going to do really well in the bull market, that I might retire, well, then I'm going to want to work harder. And that's a good philosophy to have, but you don't want to go overboard with that. But that's kind of the route I took. And, I thought I had it all down pat. I had 4 years of, good finance training up my belt. I had a keen sort of interest in this area regardless. And I had a few years of real estate, investing as a hobby down my belt as well. So I definitely was in this sort of niche, thinking to myself, this is child's play. I've got this all under wraps, easy money. It's going to be easy capitalizing, just buy, sell at these points, blah, blah, blah. Well, suffice to say, I was definitely wrong. And I know most of you are as well. And that's why, for me, personally speaking, it is so frustrating to know a majority of people are going to disregard this video. They probably clicked off the video already. And the reason it makes me get upset is because it happened to me. I had the same mentality, but what really grinds my gears is it can be prevented, and it should be prevented. In no more than 20 minutes per project, you can just apply this, even less than 20 minutes really, and get the job done, right? When you're done, you're set, you got clear, you got clear mind basically, right? So when things start to hype up or you get FOMO or other people are panicking, you're all set. You got everything planned, you're fine. You've done the maths already, right? And so those people who are thinking to themselves, this ain't me, will be the people thinking, I'm not greedy. I'm going to easily be able to buy and sell at the right times to maximize profits. Or I'm a straight shooter, I'll be all right. Or again, this shit's boring. I don't want to watch this video. It's boring. I want to see when to buy, when to sell, what projects to buy. That's it. And, it's hard for me to feel sorry for those kinds of people. It really is. But I'm guessing if you're still watching this video, you're not that person. But again, the main thing, this is where I got stuck, is how hard can it really be buying and selling? Again, we're just buying and selling here. And this is kind of where this video is going to take a direction, okay? A strategy to know when to buy and sell, which is literally just as important as vetting the projects themselves. Now, I gain zero from telling you this, so it's worth you pay attention. I hear people all the time, Kyron, you make review videos, or you say this, or you make these types of videos, but you have a clear agenda. You're secretly planning the New World Order or something crazy, right, guys? I get like 3 to 5K views a video. I'm a small YouTuber. If you want to start drawing dots on like what potentially people could be doing in the back end for an agenda, go look at the guys that can actually move the markets, right? Not me, okay? So don't definitely think this is for some sort of hidden agenda. And the main thing I want you guys to take away from this is if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. My old principal, right, used to tell us this every single Monday morning, but don't worry, I got you. This is how we're going to plan so we don't have to actually fail. Now, in this very quick example, this is obviously the chart from, the previous bull market cycles, and we go through these phases, right? Anyone that knows the sort of, the stock market psychology chart, this is essentially it. We go through these sort of phases of different emotions, and essentially these emotions dictate when we buy. right? So depression sits in, or anger or disbelief. And when we start to see a little bit of a pump in the markets, this is a bear market right now. Like, we buy these highs. Why? Because we feel FOMO. The bull market's going to start. And it's perpetuated by everyone like influencers and, big crypto brands saying, hey, things are starting up now. Let's just get into it. And you start to panic a little bit, right? And so you buy at these horrible times in a bear market when it should be the other way around, because no matter what the stage, we feel FOMO all the damn time. On the contrary, right, but the bull market kicks off, we get belief, thrill starts to come back. We get complacent. We start to dip. Who cares? We're in a bull market still, right? We get euphoria. But we don't sell. We sell at these levels. Why? Well, because we think to ourselves, it's going to go higher. It's going to go higher. Now tell me, how many people out there, myself included, okay, thought the bull market, we were going to end up somewhere over here, the 4 to 5 trillion level? We all thought it. We all thought Bitcoin was going to 100K plus. So don't tell me that you aren't someone that's like perfectly, well, unless you really are someone like that, that's perfectly timing this sort of stuff right. They've got a plan in place. Most of us didn't. Again, 90% of us didn't. So what we end up doing is selling in the anxiety stages, in the panic stages, again, in the anger phases, right? At these stupid levels where we could have taken a higher profit if we just followed a clear strategy and path, right? So again, the positive emotions we gain from seeing our huge profits is intoxicating. When the bull market's kicking off, we literally wake up every single day, an extra $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. And for most people, that can be life-changing, especially every single day, right? So again, you can get drunk on that sort of feeling. And so you kind of follow this philosophy of going with the flow seems to be working so far. You just think you've cracked the code because you're making money every day. Wrong. It's going to hit you, and it's going to hit you hard, okay? Because you definitely want to make sure you have a plan, and now is that perfect time to do so. So why do we feel like this? Why do we have these emotions? Why do we kind of go with the flow? Well, the reason we buy and sell at detrimental times is because we don't spend even just 20 minutes on a damn plan in this period right now in the bull market. Again, especially because I believe the bull market will be kicking off in the next couple months. Truly. Now, if we simply knew when a good time to buy a project was and when a good time to sell was based on our expected return on investment that we want out of the market, whether we want a minimum 10x, 100x, or for you psycho asylum people, 1000x, for example, then there's no way that the emotions can control you. There's no way in hell this chart can make you feel like you should be buying or should be selling. There's no way, all right? Now, of course, as I mentioned before, it doesn't help that we have people in the media, including, influencers like YouTubers like myself, kind of perpetuating a certain narrative. It definitely doesn't help, right? So how can we dominate? Now, again, let me gloss over this. I'm going to give you this for free so you guys can go through and follow along if you like. There's 4 things we have to actually do. Now, I've got here that it shouldn't take you more than 1 to 2 hours per project, but that's for someone who's just learning this. It might take you 1 to 2 hours. For someone like myself or someone that is just proficient and has done this multiple times now, it shouldn't take you any more than 5 to 10, 20 minutes max. So the first thing we have to do is assess ourselves, personal assessment. This is important when we get to these 2 levels over here. So we must do this. We must also check the narratives to make sure, again, peace of mind, clarity, we can visually see the money's going to go to the project. So we definitely can give ourselves good buy and sell levels. And then we can look at the buy and sell levels themselves in this order. So sell first, then buy levels. So number 1, personal risk assessment. So first of all, right, knowing your risk is super important. This will allow you to identify potential coins that are too risky or within your tolerance. So obviously you don't want to be buying coins that are too risky if you're someone who doesn't want to have any risk at all. Again, hone in on your desired projects itself and help you sleep better. This is a big thing, right? A lot of you guys are a big proponent of, mental health, and so am I, right? So obviously sleeping better, knowing that you're not going to panic if things take a sudden turn when you wake up in the morning, it's so important, I believe, right? Especially in the bull market. So you have to ask yourself, how much can you afford to lose? Is it nothing? You can afford to, if you put 10 grand in, you definitely want at least 10 grand out. Or is it 50%? Or is it 100%? Can you risk it all? And this will help you identify kind of where you want to put your money. So where in the risk categories, low risk, medium risk, high reward projects, or extremely risky projects, but it give you extremely high reward. You have to actually find this out, because then you can find the projects in these categories, right? So obviously they depend on how risky the project is based on the market cap, how new it is, so on and so forth. But this will give you an indication, again, just for that peace of mind aspect. Now, here's something that kind of works in well with it. Again, this is asking yourself the question of returns, okay? So knowing how many multipliers you want to actually achieve is actually critical. Again, when we talk about buy and sell levels in a second, it's so trivial though, like, oh, duh, like how obvious is that? But actually ask yourself, how much do I actually want to make? So this will allow you to find ideal buy and sell levels, helping you have a plan, which is the whole purpose of this video, identify which projects are worthwhile to invest in, but also, importantly, reconsider your projects when paired with your risk tolerance, as you can't expect a 100x return on your portfolio with zero risk. So if you're someone that's like, okay, I want 100x my whole portfolio, I put 10 grand in, I want like whatever that is, like $1 million out of it, right? Well, you can't expect to just buy, 0%, like Bitcoin and Ethereum. That ain't gonna happen, all right? You're gonna have to definitely put a lot more than 10 grand in to make that happen. So you have to ask yourself and challenge your thoughts. If it's just not syncing up inside, right, and you're not getting sleep, you're like, okay, well, I can't afford to lose more than 10% of my portfolio, but I want 100x, reevaluate your situation here. Come back to grounds and terms with yourself. Once you've done that, again, it's normally looked over, but you have to do it. Number 2 is narrative. So this is just pretty much like looking for gold, right? So a big part of being contempt and disregarding the natural tendency to feel emotional is by knowing where the money is going and that it will flow into your coins. So you guys can have a look at which narratives I believe will kind of see the most prosperous future in 2025. Just a hint, it's pretty much whatever projects are, if the bull market was to happen right now, what would kind of happen now? Nothing's going to really happen crazily in the next 1.5 to 2 years. And the narrative I like to use in this case is like looking for gold, or being a gold prospect, for example. Okay, this is a map of Australia, and this is like kind of like the gold regions where they mostly are found. So what's the first thing you do as a gold prospect? Well, you wouldn't just go looking in random locations, would you? You might find gold, little bits, right? You might get real lucky as well. But the main point is you're going to want to go where the gold is already found. These hotspots, okay? It's as simple as that. You start finding gold in or around these areas. It's as simple as crypto. You're not going to want to go buy or hope for the best in a certain narrative when in reality, you can pretty well be confident that this certain narrative is going to achieve a lot of demand. And then what you do is, again, based on your risk, you can then go back and have a look at the actual projects within those narratives, within your risk narratives, and it's going to help you out a lot. So that's kind of prelim stuff, right? It's preliminary. The real key is finding sell and buy levels. Now, it's important we actually find sell levels first in this case, because we have to find a price prediction and then base everything off that. So to locate what our sell levels need to be, we must work back from a price prediction. But remember, a price prediction is just that. We're predicting price, nothing more, nothing less. It's going to change. It's going to change very frequently. Again, don't ever think your price predictions is set. You must revisit, right? We must use logic. In this case, it has to make sense, and reasoning. We have to give reasons as to why we're giving these price prediction levels to actually predict where its price may go, okay? Which is why we use minimums and maximums. So you'll find with me, I don't like to say, okay, just $10 is the price for HBAR. We want to get a minimum price and also maximum price and work in between those two levels, right? So the outcome here is locating 2 price levels where we think the price will at least go to and where it can max go to, in a reasonable level. And also using the minimum max levels to mark the increments in which we can begin selling and how many tokens at different levels, right? So again, you want to make sure you're selling at strategic levels. You don't want to sell all your investment at the minimum level and try to time the very top. It's best you ladder sell, all right? It's proven to work the best. And selling, setting sell orders at these price points is actually important, but we must remember that these things are going to change. So when the bull market kicks off, we might say have all of our sell orders actually clicked in, so we don't have to touch anything. It's all, done automatically. But again, we have to revisit these because price is definitely going to move. And when it does move, those might hit too early and we might sell out when in reality, we had all the signs say it's going to go a lot higher or even a lot lower than what we predict. So again, I'm not going to go through this. This will actually help you and answer the question of how to find a price prediction in the easiest possible way you possibly can find, at least I've ever found on the internet. That's within the region of healthy or good expectations in a way, okay? You definitely don't want to be going over the top. Guys, don't think like you've heard a price prediction from X YouTuber and Y YouTuber and stick with that. That is the worst way to do it. Most YouTubers have no indication of where price can actually go, okay? So you must be realistic with it. But once we've kind of found sell levels, okay, or essentially where the price prediction is going to be, what we've essentially done here is found our maximum. This is the Hedera chart, right? A maximum and minimum. So once we've found those two levels, again, we can come to the buy price, buy prices essentially, and figure out whether the project is actually suitable for us or not. Let me kind of elaborate. So to locate what our buy levels are per project, we have to use 2 variables. The first is our expected return on investment from the project or overall portfolio. Again, how much are we expecting overall? A 10x, 100x, or 1000x, or anywhere in between that, okay? You have to actually ask yourselves this, and that's why it's important to assess this very early on, like we did, all right? And then work backwards from that price prediction we just found a second ago to locate an entry point that complements this. So when doing this, we need to ensure that we are buying at prices which will almost guarantee we meet the ROI estimates. Nothing's guaranteed. Again, that's why I say almost guarantee. Take the guesswork out of when we buy, allowing us to even set up buy orders. So I believe buy orders should definitely be set if you're someone who definitely wants to guarantee you're hitting those levels. Sell orders, not so much. Those things change, but buy orders you definitely can set if you are confident on getting in at certain levels for a project, which will also allow us to create a window into the potential returns we could actually make, and therefore whether the project is actually worthwhile investing in. So as I showed you over here, right, with this example right here, we're pretty much going to take this again. So these the maximum and the minimum levels we think Hedera might go to. So in my example, I say Hedera will, realistically go to a maximum of $2 or a minimum of 69 cents. I have my reasoning. That's just not a random number pulled, by the way. And so what we can do here is then figure out. So if I'm someone who wants a 20x from HBAR at the current price of 5 cents, which is this green dotted line at the top here, if we go to the minimum I want, which is when I'm going to take my initial investment out, well, have a look at this. We're only getting, 13x. Well, hell, I don't want a 13x minimum. I want at least a 20x. Well, we just have to simply bring this line down to a price that matches or reflects a 20x, which happens to be about 0.35 cents or 3.5 cents essentially, right? So if we do that and we go to this new level down here and we bring it up to the minimum, again, where I'm taking my, my initial investment out, we come to about a 20x, 19x, which is happy. But that then gives me an indication of, hey, hang on a second, Hedera has to drop to 3.5 cents for me to actually be happy. Now, I want to say for the record, you might be a little, optimistic with HBAR, and you might say, well, I think the minimum is going to go to $1, and that's fine. You're going to get a lot more returns. You might get, whatever that is, like a 30x, for example. Okay, but you're taking more of a risk on in that case. The higher up you go, the more bullish you are, the more risky it is, okay? So we almost want to go like somewhere between reasonable and like it's definitely going to hit. And again, these price predictions are really well met with this. Now, I've got multiple videos going over this actual process as well, which will help you understand why we've come to these minimum and maximum levels. So again, it's all within reason. And ultimately, once we've found this level, right, let's say we want a 20x and we want to go at $0.035 or 3.5 cents. Well, what we can do then is use these sort of tactics here, right? Finding previous sort of channels to go, now is it actually a good time to buy? It's within reason. Maybe we do drop a little bit more from this point here, and therefore we can start to plan when we actually dollar cost average, or pretty much just set those buy orders. So say, I know I'm messing the chart up here, guys, I do apologize. Let's just say we figure out that we're at the $0.035 mark here. Well, if we have a look, this is the, channels over the last 12 months or since inception, we actually can go lower. We've gone lower recently, right? It can actually happen. So therefore, we can start to set reasonable buy orders. Again, we've got to be very careful here not to get too optimistic or too greedy, because things only happen if they actually come true. And guys, that will do it for this video. Again, I'm going to give you this for free because I had to rush through it. I do apologize for those who are a little bit confused. Again, take the time to read it, understand it. I'll leave some links down below so you guys can go ahead and actually download or watch some of the other videos I've made explaining that process a little bit more clearly. Thanks again for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. Take good care. Talk soon. Bye.